Optus Stadium. Acknowledge me.
Say his name and he appears.
I believe in Scoops.
Hello everyone and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host Cooper, the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. And oh boy, wowee, we have a fiery show lined up for you guys and girls this evening on Kick It to Scoops. Where do I begin? The Power eliminated Hawthorn, all those cringy nicknames they gave each other. The Hawks, it's all over. Red Rover. The Power get the job done when all the talk was they were going out in straight sets, and that they did not do. Then we have the other game where the Giants have a lead the whole season, the whole game rather, and then they blow it again. In controversial fashion in a way, the Giants will be very upset. Joe Danaher kicked 2 clutch goals at the very end. He was on Joey Danaher. Then we had the post-match stuff of Ken Hinkley and Jack Ginnivan and Sam Mitchell and Jordan Lewis and Luke Hodge and Dermott Brereton, all ex-Hawthorn people having a go at Ken Hinkley. Very hypocritical. I will be roasting Sam Mitchell, Luke Hodge, Jordan Lewis and Dermott Brereton very shortly. Also, under the firing line in Scoops Goes Bang is Michael Voss for the treatment of Matt Kennedy, who now, as of last night, has been told to look elsewhere. Very hypocritical with Carlton. His partner had a baby the day before the game. He flew the morning of. You subbed him out for God knows what reason. And then all that happened. That was last week, of course. And now he's been told to look elsewhere. Very, very interesting from Michael Voss. Matt Owies out of contract. We'll get to all that in a bit of trade talk. We're going to review the rounds that's got an upcoming. But let's start off with this. You want me on Cameo? Head to cameo.com/Cooper G. Want me to roast a friend, wish someone happy birthday, anything at all, cameo.com/Cooper G. And if you know any AFL, AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, or any state league players like Waffle W, VFW, W, Sample W, V for Waffle or Sample, and you would like to see them on the podcast in a goal-kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Want to aim for 20 likes for this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you haven't watched my Scoops AFLW show from last night, please go and check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. Any match day vlogs I've done throughout the AFLW, or any interviews or goal-kicking challenges in the past, or any recent episodes of Kick It to Scoops or the Scoops AFLW show, please go and check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. There's a lot of content for you there to look at. All right. Now it's time for the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. It's going to be explosive here on Kick It to Scoops this evening, in particular with Scoops Goes Bang. Oh boy. Where are we going to start? With Ken Hinkley and Sam Mitchell, Jordan Lewis, Luke Hodge, all those ex-Hawthorn people. I'm going to start off with this with Ken Hinkley and the Jack Ginnivan thing. Ken Hinkley did nothing wrong. Not a damn thing. Not one thing. Jack Ginnivan started all this by making out a social media comment to Brodie Grundy saying, at that time he said, see you in 14 days, which was implying that they were going straight through the Power and going to a preliminary final. Now, did he say anything bad? No. Is he being a smartass? Yes. Personally, I have nothing wrong with that. But for the people to say things like, oh, how dare he cop that back? Mate, when you say that, you've automatically disrespected the other club, whether it's a joke or not. If you thought that Port Adelaide in this instance were not going to bite back, you are delusional. And their social media team, in fact, bited before Ken did, when they posted, see you in 7 days, Sydney. That's obviously a reference to what Ginnivan did. So that was before the Ken Hinkley on-field thing happened with Ginnivan. And I come here with facts. Only facts. So, very hypocritical, too, of everything Sam Mitchell said about Ken Hinkley, calling him an old man and everything like that. let's go through the timeline. So as I said, Ginnivan said those comments. Port Adelaide were going to wait and wait. If they beat Hawthorn, which they did, they would come back to bite Ginnivan in the ass. And it did. We told you it was going to happen in terms of the words were coming back if Port had won. And for people that are saying, oh, he disrespected Luke Bruce. No. He did not do that, Ken Hinkley. They were giving lip before that. And then the moment Luke Bruce was going to be cheered off, Ken Hinkley ignored Sicily, started clapping Luke Bruce. By the way, Jack Gunston and Sicily were meant to be carrying Luke Bruce off, which Gunston did. Sicily was holding him, but he kept focusing on Ken Hinkley. How about the disrespect that James Sicily shown Luke Bruce? He kept eyeballing Ken Hinkley, kept looking back, right? Kept looking back for part of the chair off. And Ken Hinkley just ignored and kept on clapping Luke Bruce like a 300-game superstar that Luke Bruce is. Maybe you should be having a go at James Sicily for not respecting his captain. Not James Sicily, not respecting his players in that moment. I have no problem with James Sicily defending Jack Ginnivan. I have no problem with Jack Ginnivan making the post. But if you're telling me that you didn't expect a backlash on that, you are delusional. Now, Sam Mitchell is a hypocrite. Let's play what he says, and I'm going to tell you why he's a hypocrite in this example. Here is Sam Mitchell after the game in the post-match press conference talking about Ken Hinkley, and boy, oh boy, he embarrassed himself.
Would have been made aware of Ken Hinkley and James Sicily on the final siren. Is that disappointing to see a rival coach do that after a win and be brought into an exchange of words with your captain?
I mean, I can only speak on my club's behalf, and if I think about how my club, the Hawthorn Football Club, dealt with the post-game, we had a very young player who was having had some very aggressive words said to him by a much older man who's been in the game for a long time, and the captain of my club stood up for him. And so I think it's really tough to sit here right now getting rushed by the AFL. Make sure you're at your press conference on time. And so I understand the emotions of this time of year are really, really difficult, and I'm really proud of our captain, who would have been just as emotional, who was able to stand up and lead in a way that he could be proud of.
Will you seek to speak to Ken after that?
Absolutely not.
How frustrated are you to see that and have that relayed to you from a rival coach that he's having?
That's the third question. That's enough.
Well, first of all, Sam Mitchell, the journo, Mitch Cleary, was asking the question, you've asked enough. They're basic questions that he gave you, and you refused to answer it. And you called what Ken Hinkley said to Jack Ginnivan on the field aggressive tone, aggressive words. He told him, you ain't going anywhere in 14 days. How was that aggressive? You know what is aggressive and what is disrespectful? You doing the drug gesture to Essendon all the way back when you were playing for the Hawks. Do you forget, Sam, what you did? Do you forget that? Do you forget that, Sam? You did that. Now, personally, I thought the drug thing you did was fair enough to a degree because that's what Essendon did. But you can't say you liked when you done it and then compare it to this and say he used aggressive words. You ain't going anywhere is aggressive words. Then what the hell did you do with the Essendon drug jab thing you did, gesture? Like, seriously, hypocrite. And Luke Hodge on the coverage, which you'll hear again shortly, which I'll play the clip in a second, is also a sook. Jordan Lewis on the Fox coverage, sook. The other guys on the coverage, I believe was Jason Dunstall on Fox and a few others. They weren't, they didn't care. Nathan Buckley didn't care what Ken said. It's only the ex-Hawthorn guys that had the problem with it. Lewis, Hodge, Berridon, and Mitchell. What a shock. Now, also, this is what happened. Yeah, for people to say that Ken Hinkley was not cheering off Luke Bruce, you don't know what you're talking about. But here is, before I show you that clip, this is the exchange between Sicily and Ken Hinkley and Jack Inovan. So do not tell me that Ken Hinkley was doing this while Luke Bruce was being chaired off. You clearly see Sicily's in that footage. He's not holding Luke Bruce to his shoulders, okay? So clearly Ken Hinkley's not doing that while he's being chaired off Luke Bruce. And if that was the case, why is Sicily bad-mouthing when that's meant to be happening for Luke Bruce? Now, here is further proof that Sicily is the one that should be apologising, not Ken Hinkley. See that? See that? That's why James Sicily should be apologising to Luke Bruce. Because when he's carrying him off, you see Ken Hinkley clapping, as you would expect, and you see Sicily turning around for the first part of that, keep turning around, looking at Ken. How about for that 30 seconds, James Sicily, you just focus on what you're carrying, and that's Luke Bruce off the field. Jack Gunston did the right thing. He's good, mate. He knew what to do. Sicily let down Luke Bruce. That's as simple as I can put it. Okay? And it's amazing, too, how Hawthorn are really sooking it up about this. You know, like Mitchell saying, like, you know, really sooking it up, or saying, you know, about the words Ken used. All he said was, you ain't going anywhere in 14 days. And what Sam Mitchell said about Ken Hinkley was disrespectful by calling him an older man. What has age got to do with any of this, Sam? You're older too. What's your point? That's very disrespectful to call him old. Jack Inovan is 21. Ken Hinkley is 57, turning 58. But that doesn't matter. And to say that Ken Hinkley was abusing a kid. Jack Inovan is 21 years old. He is not a kid. And Jack Ginnivan's the one that started all this. So Sam Mitchell is delusional if he thought there was going to be no backlash from this. Okay? What Ken Hinkley did was fine. It was called karma, in a way. Because Ginnivan chirped and he couldn't walk the walk. He talked the talk, but he couldn't walk the walk. And as they say. So what Ken said was fine. And Hawthorn need to suck it up. They lost because they lost. Port Adelaide won. Simple as that. James Sicily had the chance to win his team the game, and he blew it. Now, also, I'm going to roast the AFL in a second, but one more thing, I want to roast individuals who spoke on the matter about Ken Hinkley. You know, Kane Corn says some things on the footy show on Sunday that were fair enough. Jonathan Brown said this: the karma bus has got them, referring to Hawthorn. It's a great leveller. This game, Kenny would have used every bit of that. He definitely would have used it as motivation. Well said, Jono. Then Jordan Lewis chimes in with, I thought it was embarrassing from Ken's point of view, and then bringing up his age as well. No, you know what is embarrassing, Jordan? That you can't handle little banter. Little banter, okay? Maybe if Ginnivan didn't put the comment out to Brodie Grundy on a public forum, this wouldn't have happened. And what Ken said wasn't bad. Now, before I again get to what the AFL did, which is laughable, giving him a please explain and then bloody finding him 20K, which is laughable. There's this one other one I want to show you. I'm just making sure, see which one I want to read. Ken Hinkley saying that he should apologise to the boys. He shouldn't have probably done it. But the reality was, you throw something our way, we're going to throw something back occasionally. Well said, Ken. You're going to throw something back, and damn well, you had a right to do so. They used the Ginnivan comment a fair bit as motivation with his plays. He said in the post-match presser, we as a footy club found it a little bit disrespectful. And fair enough too. Now, for people to say, oh, how can you get so worked up over that? How can you get so worked up over him saying you ain't going anywhere in 14 days? Go ask Sam Mitchell. Go ask James Sicily. Go ask the people that whinged about it. If Jack Ginnivan didn't say a damn word, none of this would have happened. And maybe if Hawthorn actually won, this wouldn't have come up either. So there you go. To the AFL, or to Sam Mitchell, to Jordan Lewis, to Luke Hodge, to Dermott Brereton, lift your game, pathetic. And to the Hawthorn people sooking about it, also lift your game. Now the AFL, you're not getting away from this. You're not escaping this. You fine Ken Hinkley $20,000. First off, you give him a please explain, which I thought was laughable in its own right. But I thought, okay, if that's all it is, whatever. That was on Saturday. Then on Sunday, you then said, 20K fine, Ken. What for? You gave him a please explain. That's the end of it. He explained himself. And now, last night on Footy Classified, Caro says that the AFL thought that Port Adelaide and Ken Hinkley's response wasn't genuine enough, basically, is what she said. Are you kidding me? AFL, are you kidding me? What do you want him to do? What do you want Ken to do? He did nothing wrong for starters. Then you give him please explain. And then you say you feel he wasn't genuine enough. Did you want him to not say a damn thing and then you sook even more? Like, you're a Ken Hinkley hater. The AFL are clearly too. And it's disgraceful. What did Ken say that was wrong? Tell me what he said that was wrong. You cannot, because he said nothing wrong. To the AFL, you're a joke. Lift your game. Pathetic. How you can find someone $20,000 or any amount for that, saying you ain't going anywhere in 14 days? Pathetic. You should be fining Hawthorn for ruining their 300-game superstar in Luke Bruce's occasion off the field. Blame James Sicily. Blame Sam Mitchell. Blame Jack Ginnivan. But no, you just blame Ken. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely ridiculous. Pathetic. Right. Now, I'm going to roast Michael Voss about Matt Kennedy. So you drop this guy to the sub, okay, in the final, who his partner had a baby. They had a baby the day before. He then goes to play on the Saturday night. Travels on his own from Melbourne to Queensland the morning of the final, the elimination final, which they lost. And he gets subbed off at halftime because they were going shit. He had 5 disposals and a tackle. He actually got subbed off during the second quarter. It was like a quarter and a half, if that. So he probably played a full quarter, had 5 touches and a tackle. That's not bad, right? In that time frame. Then you could have subbed off Fantasia, Motlop, Lewis Young. The list goes on. And why Matt Kennedy? And now he wants to leave. Well, no, he doesn't. Sorry, I take that back. The club are telling him to look elsewhere. You couldn't disrespect one individual in 2 weeks more than what you've done of recent memory. Well, actually, I take that back because quite late people have disrespected Ken Hinkley for years. But you know what I'm getting at here. Carlton have disrespected Matt Kennedy to the point now where they're telling him to leave. Matt Kennedy should say thank you, F you, and goodbye. That's what he should say. The disrespect they've shown Matt Kennedy, a guy who's played a various of roles this year and done bloody well. We'll welcome you at the Saints, mate. Obviously, Sauce, you got the connections there. Jack Steele as well at Giants when you were there. Welcome to the real club. Carlton, we beat them. Carlton got embarrassed by Brisbane. We did not. Happy to have you at the Saints, Matt Kennedy. Somewhere where you won't be treated like that, that's for sure. Michael Voss, that's embarrassing. You tell Lewis Young and Matt Owens as well. Matt Owens has kicked like the most goals for your small forwards this year. That's laughable. You won't give him a contract, telling him to look elsewhere. That's just embarrassing. Lewis Young, I kind of understand, but you need depth as well. But the two to Matt Kennedy and Matt Owens, it's just laughable. And no wonder Carlton lost the final because they're making dumb decisions like this. They got no one to blame it themselves, Carlton. You got the key forwards. You got Curnow, you got Mackay, you got Wiedering, you got Cripps, you got Walsh, and you shit the bed. And you got Akers and De Koning, and you shit the bed. You got Chera, you got more, and you blew it. You got no one to blame but yourselves. You got no one to blame but yourself. And quite frankly, you deserve to get smashed by Brisbane in that final. After the way, you didn't even deserve to make finals. Let's be real. He only won due to match fixing against Fremantle in gather round. Otherwise, technically, Freo would have got in. And really, St Kilda would have done a better job than what Carlton did against Brisbane. In fact, even bloody North or West Coast would have done a better job than Carlton in that first final. So to Michael Voss, to the Carlton list management that are telling Matt Owies and Matt Kennedy to look elsewhere, in particular Michael Voss, really, lift your game. That's pathetic. Now, one more, Scoops goes bang. Dustin Martin. Oh, boy, this was going to be the big headline discussion for this week. And then the Ken Hinkley stuff popped up and the Matt Owies stuff with Matt Kennedy and Carlton and Michael Voss. The Triple M. Now it's Dusty. Now, throughout the year, I always felt like he was going to go to the Suns. But I actually believed the guy when he said he was full-on retired because he retired before the season was over. I'm like, okay, he's really had enough. And to be honest, he didn't deserve a game. Let's be real. Might be the harsh truth, but he didn't deserve a game. He was playing bad. And any other team and any other level of player, they would have got dropped a long time ago. Let's just say, and I've been saying this for a while, but first time on this podcast, I believe, for right now at least, Dustin Martin has done the Damien Hardwick. He was burnt out, right? He's done the Damien Hardwick tactic. That's what he's done. He's copied Dimmer. And he wants out of here. Now, according to Damien Barrett, Dustin Martin reached out to Gold Coast, not Damien Hardwick or Gold Coast reaching out to Dustin. He reached out to Gold Coast. That confirms that he'll be joining the Suns as a free agent. How he qualifies for a free agent when he was delisted/retired is another story for another day. But you can bet your bottom dollar that Dustin Martin will be a Gold Coast Suns player in 2025. There's no way he's reaching out to be a coach or anything like that. He's reaching out to play. And I believe this was his plan all along. I believe that. I believe in Scoops. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Roman Reigns. And I also believe that Dustin Martin was always going to plan to leave Richmond for Gold Coast. And he just wanted to soften the blow. And in fact, I feel like he's made it worse. What do you think, Tiger fans? I think Dustin Martin has disrespected everything he's almost done for Richmond by doing this. You know why he did this? He's copying Dimmer, number one. But number two, do you think he would have got all this love fest he got in the last game or against Gold Coast, coincidentally? Do you think he would have got all that fanfare and everything like that? Sure, he would have got some of it because it's Dustin Martin. But do you think he would have got all the appreciation and love by everybody had he said he was leaving Gold Coast? No, he wouldn't have. Leaving to go to Gold Coast? No, he wouldn't. There'll be a portion that'd be very pissed off. But yeah, unbelievable. Dustin Martin will join the Gold Coast Suns in 2025. That's very disrespectful too, to everything Richmond have done for you, Dustin, and then you've gone and done that. I don't care how many Brownlows you won and all this stuff and Norm Smith medals. Norm Smith medals are rigged. Basher Hooley should have won one or two of them that you won. So here we are. But look, it is pathetic that you could do that to the club that gave you everything, gave you your start, gave you everything, giving you the time off you wanted, everything you wanted, they gave you, and now you just shit on them as well. So first, Michael Voss shits on Matt Kennedy. Then Sam Mitchell shits on Ken Hinkley. And now Dustin Martin shits on shits on Richmond to join Gold Coast. He's copied his good mate Damien Hardwick. Being burnt out very early. Pathetic, Dustin. Not good enough. Gold Coast fans, do you want him or not? To the AFL for the fine to Ken, to Carlton and Michael Voss, to James Sicily, Jack Ginnivan, Sam Mitchell, Luke Hodge, Lewis and Burridon, and to Dustin Martin. Lift your game, all of you. Pathetic. Hope you guys and girls enjoy that very long edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Now, trade talk. Let's go through it at the end. just got to preview and review the finals, and then we'll go through that trade talk with Zac Merrett, etc. Now, first of all, the final. Port Adelaide, credit to them for getting the job done. Ken Hinkley's job survives. He now breaks the record for the most games coached ever by a coach, the one under Ken. Obviously, they got the job done 75-72. They really deserved the win from the start. Guys like Burgoyne and Logan Evans and Willie Rioli and Zerk Thatcher and Mitch Georgiades, who I thought was best on ground, were really good for them. For Hawthorn, Jai Newcombe was good, but there wasn't many major contributors for them. But yeah, so very, very interesting. But Hawthorn are out. I'm glad they're out because we don't have to hear about these cringy nicknames they give each other now. So I don't like the nicknames they gave each other, so I'm glad it's over. So yeah, they're done. GWS 100, 105. The Giants are out in straight sets. They choked a 43-point lead. I don't know how you feel if you're a Giants fan. I really don't know how you feel. You had a lead that was you couldn't lose, and you did. 44-point lead, 18 minutes, 32 seconds into the third quarter. Joe Danaher kicked 2 late goals. And then that was it. Tom Green was really good, as was Harry Himmelberg. Jesse Hogan kicked 5. Callum Ward played his part. Bazorka kicked 2 and 25. He was better in the second half. Danaher kicked 4-1 and 13 disposals, probably the best on ground. Will Ashcroft had 27 disposals as well. Kieran Briggs had 55 hitouts and McInerney's 38. 13 disposals each, both kicked a goal. 6 tackles to 4 in favour of Briggs. So the ruck battle was very, very even, except for the hitouts with Briggs dominated. But unfortunately for the Giants, this season's over. They've gone out in straight sets. And now the Brisbane Lions play Geelong and Sydney play Port Adelaide at the SCG, which is what we'll get to right now. Let's now preview the preliminary finals. So Friday night at the SCG, 7:40 Victorian time, it's Sydney hosting Port Adelaide. I have the Sydney Swans to win this one to advance to the grand final and beat Port Adelaide by 16 points. The final game to go through is Geelong and Brisbane. Well, actually, Kane Farrell could play for the Power, so we'll wait and see. There'll be a big inclusion for them. Masava Regalia is lucky they won if Sicily missed, because he and Zerk Thatcher would have cost them the game. Geelong and Brisbane, 5:15 Victorian time in the MCG Saturday. Geelong and Brisbane, I'll be tipping Brisbane to win this one by 12 points, which for me will make it a Sydney v Brisbane grand final in the AFL. Will not like that because there's no Victorian teams in it. Now, you're probably wondering, why is this a 5:15 game? Because generally the preliminary final on the Saturday is normally a 3:20 twilight or a clash around 5, just so because the grand final will be 20 or 7 days later at that exact time, basically. That's why. And if Geelong win, they don't have to travel. Oh, sorry, they have to travel 45 minutes down the road. Because Ollie Henry cried about that when he left Collingwood, remember? Speaking of players that might come back, Cam Guthrie played VFL recently. Don't think he'll get a game this year. And Tom Hawkins, he's retiring at the year. Does he come in for Shannon Neal? They, for some reason, won't play all 3 with Cameron. So does Ollie Henry go out, but he kicked 4 goals, I think, or something recently. So I don't know. Does Tom Hawkins get a game? Unfortunately, I don't think he does. I think he should, but I don't think they'll give it to him. But let's see if they do. Geelong fans, comment down below, will Tom Hawkins play? And Brisbane fans, what changes would you make? Swans and Port fans, the exact same. All right, let's wrap it up with some trade talk, shall we? So Zac Merrett. Now, the clubs, St Kilda and Essendon, made a statement today. First off, it was Tom Morris on Sunday night saying that St Kilda are throwing a Godfather offer for Zac Merrett. And I saw that and I thought, oh, yes. Now, it doesn't mean we're getting him. It doesn't once say that we're getting him in this article or video. But the interest is there from the Merrett camp, and St Kilda clearly are interested. Now, they both denied it tonight. Well, that being St Kilda and Essendon, I don't believe either statement for 1 second. Sorry, last night on Footy Classified. St Kilda said, we have not approached his management regarding Merrett for a contract offer for Zac to join St Kilda. Not yet, you haven't. There's also not been any formal discussion of this topic with Zac or his management. Bullshit. We will not be making any further comment on this matter. Well, you will be, because it's going to continually get brought up. And Essendon said, neither the club or Zac have any interest in exploring the concept of joining St Kilda. He's our captain and not going anywhere. That he may not leave, but he definitely is open to the move. Whether you let him is another story. And he's not worth 3 first-rounders, by the way. If he's worth a pick in the top 10, it's 1 first-rounder and a second-rounder, and that's it. People don't understand how valuable top 10 picks are. So if it was, say, 15 and 18, that's a bit different because they're late first-rounders, but pick 7 or 8, if we get the battle combo, is too much for both those picks. 2 top 10 picks is like trading out 2 star players, basically. That is way too much. Obviously, there's late pick swaps and everything like that, future thirds and everything like that. But I'm talking about the major picks here. So pick 7, okay, and a future second or something is enough for Zac Merrett. I don't care that he's the captain and he's a great player. I know that, obviously. But this is why St Kilda called their interest. So I did say they had other fish to fry. Obviously, they would love Dan Houston. They probably still could get Dan Houston. They want to prioritise midfielders. And obviously, they saw this Zac Merrett opening, whether how small the opening is. They saw it, and they said, right, we need mids. We can afford both financially, but pick-wise, we want to draft for pick 7. If we get pick 8 for battle, how the hell else are we going to do it? This is why we have to call on Dan Houston. That's why. So if Zac Merrett joins the Saints, I'll be very, very happy. Not saying it's happening, but boy, oh boy, him and Steele and Crouch, if he doesn't retire, with Filippo and Clark and co pushing through there, looks very, very exciting for sure. But that's that one. Zac Merrett to the Saints. Will it happen? Saints and Essendon fans, comment down below. Now, the other names I'll wrap us up with. Jack Darling's apparently had a medical yesterday, according to Tom Morris, at North Melbourne. He'll join there on a multi-year deal. I cannot understand why North would want that hack, but here we are. He's old. He's no good now. He's past his best. Yes, he brings experience, but he's not a good footballer now. So that's on them. That's North Melbourne just being desperate. Look at guys like Luke Parker that are actually good. Matt always told to look elsewhere, as I mentioned earlier. The Saints should be looking for him. They were interested in him a month or so ago. So I don't expect that to change. I expect the Saints would show some interest, as should someone like Melbourne, North Melbourne, anyone that looks for some small forwards. You should be looking at Matt Owies. Lewis Young, you want some key defender depth, which I feel is his best position. He plays as a backup ruck and as a backup key forward. So he can play anywhere, but I'd have him as a backup key defender option. So maybe the Saints want to look at him if they get him for nothing, as a backup option to Dougal Howard to replace Zane Cordy. I wouldn't be against that. But yeah, here we are. All right. And Matt Kennedy, the Saints should look at Matt Kennedy, an inside mid. Collingwood should as well. Matt Kennedy's about 27 years of age, in the prime of his career still, and he's having a great season, or did have a great season. So the Suns are another side that could get linked to him, but they don't really need midfielders. So I expect the Saints and the Pies to be heavily into Matt Kennedy. Now, that wraps it up for this episode this evening, but my final thoughts are simply this. You want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/CripperG. Want me to roast a friend, wish someone happy birthday, anything at all, cameo.com/CripperG. And if you know any AFL, AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, and you would like to send them on the podcast in a goal-kicking challenge or an interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Thank you for watching. Now, this episode of Key at the Scoops next week will be out on the Tuesday or Wednesday night. As Monday night is the Brownlow. Tuesday night will most likely be the AFLW show, the Scoops AFLW show. Then this show, the preview, the grand final, and more will be on next Wednesday night. Thank you all. The most important thing of all to remember is go the Saints. And, of course, acknowledge me, the one, and all aboard the Filippo train. Then, now, forever together.